Hey, it's Dave from CheapWineFinder.com again. Coming with another wine review that we just featured on the CheapWineFinder.com website because we're keeping busy in a lockdown. And of course, we were doing this beforehand, so I guess we were locked down already, more or less. And what we have today is a wine from Australia, but not the usual. It's a Shiraz, but not the usual wine. And what do we have here? Let me grab the bottle so I can read off the label. And it's the Yalumba Y Series Shiraz Viognier 2017 from South Australia. And, I think everybody probably has experienced a Shiraz at some point. It's the same wine as Syrah, the grape from the Rhone Valley. And Washington State does Syrah. You get some out of California. It used to be bigger. It's not so much anymore. And this is a little bit different because the Viognier, it's 95% Shiraz and 5% Viognier. And Viognier is a white grape that you get from the Languedoc region of France. It's a white grape. It's usually known for its bright acidity and its great nose. In blends, you see it all. You see it a lot of times. Not so much for its flavors, though that does help. But if a blend doesn't have a great nose, you add this to it, and boom, all of a sudden you got a wine with a great nose. Now, a white wine mixed with a red wine, especially a red wine that is as bold as an Australian Shiraz can be, you're not going to get much in the way of flavor from the Viognier. But I remember a few years ago, I was talking to a winemaker from Australia, and I asked her, why bother? Why put 5% of Viognier in there? You can't taste it. And she says, because it puts a shine on the wine. I mean, there's nothing else you can do that will do that to it. It makes it bright and shiny, and, it just gives it a little glow. It's not dark and brooding anymore. So that's why it's there. And so here we go. The Yalumba has been around, it's family owned since 1849. Which, what's that, 171 years or something like that? And it's like on the fifth generation. I mean, that's what their website said. They must have a lot of longevity in that family. And they do everything. They're in the Barossa Valley region. This is just South Australia. It could be anywhere in South Australia. I think I found it for $8.99 or $10. It's a really affordable wine. And Yalumba does everything. They have their own cooperage, which means they make their own barrels. So they purchase the oak and they make their barrels, and they manage the vineyards, and then they make the wine and they bottle the wine. I mean, it's everything from start to finish. And I think with this wine, it's not oaked, even though they have a cooperage. No oak, which is a little bit different because most of the time you have Shiraz, you are used to some decent oak in there. You're getting chocolate and all these flavors in there, vanillas, because Shiraz can be a fairly bold and juicy wine, and it can stand some oak flavoring, and it kind of profits from it. But here, this is a unoaked Shiraz that has a white wine poured in it. So it's going to be a very different take on what Australian Shiraz is. And it's kind of funny because this is a spicy wine. There's all sorts of spice in here. You're still getting the ripe blackberry and sometimes a little bit of blueberry and plums and that type of stuff, but you're getting a lot of spice, and which with a bolder one gets kind of blended in. And with this one, I'm going to take a sip. The spice kind of stands out by itself, and so it's interesting. But it might be a little challenging if you're a new wine drinker. Try it. Try out the challenging ones off the bat. That'll help you in the long run. But hold on. Yeah, but it's got spice. It's lean. It kind of reminds me of a French wine. It shows a structure. It's lean. It's not super juicy, though it has juicy flavors in it. This is kind of for an inexpensive, under $10 Australian wine from Yalumba's been, like I said, around forever, and they're legitimately good winery, and this is interesting wine. It punches above its weight, as they say, because it's lean. It's got good flavors. It's got challenging flavors. It's got spice. It's like a little bit of the other side of a Shiraz with the oaked and the juicy one. This is more halfway to France, which is kind of a cool thing when you're talking about an under $10 Australian Shiraz because you're getting an interesting wine. It's not You're not getting what you expect, and that's kind of fun. Um, Trying to get something to challenge you a little bit. As this opens up, the spice kind of blends into the wine. So this is not a pop the top and drink wine because the spice will be too rough. And it has a little bit of tannins in it. So again, French wines show their tannins. It's kind of rare to get an American wine that really has tannins that taste, or you get a little brush on the back of your throat or on your tongue. Usually it's well integrated. But here you got a little bit of tannins. I'm gonna take another sip because you know I it's what I do. It's still juicy. It's got that grape ripe blackberry and it's got a little bit of blueberry, and that's really appealing. And then it's got the spice and it's got some of the little bit of a tougher flavors. It's like orange zest, and it's got black pepper, but it's a lot of black pepper. It's in there, but it smooths out at first. At first, it catches your tongue off guard. Then after a while, it kind of smooths itself out. So there you go. This is a interesting little. I always call them little because they're under $10. They're not that little. I mean, this is a good wine from a good winery. And it just happens to be 8.99. And another thing, this is the 2017 vintage. According to their webpage, the 2018's out and the 2019's out. This is an unoaked wine. It doesn't need a lot of aging. Probably a 2017. This is probably the last year you should buy the 2017. I mean, we're only in April, so you can all year round. But next year, if you have a choice between 2017 and 2018, 2019, you pick the newer ones because these are the wines that are supposed to be bright and alive and juicy. And so when they get a little older, they kind of lose their shine. But this is a wine that's made to be shiny and bright, so it's not going to lose it as quickly. But it's still these drink it now wines. The sooner, the better for the most part. But right now, it's got a little bit of bottle age. Doesn't really need it, but it has it. So it's not a bad thing. But sometimes with drinking now wines, the newer is the better. I'll take another sip because it's an interesting wine. I keep on trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's kind of as it goes on, the spice kind of melds back into the fruit, and that blackberry and blueberry melt up front and kind of blends together. Yeah, it's kind of nice, and so there we go. It's a good wine, Yalumba Y series, Shiraz Viognier, 2017. I was thinking about predicament we're in right now because everybody's on lockdown and there's people being sick and everything. And it's like, I remember as a kid talking to people who had lived through the Depression and people who had lived during World War II, who either had to fight or was around with rationings. They all had stories to tell. It's like, what did you do? And, what happened then? And, then they all had great stories to tell. And I'm thinking, we don't have any stories to tell. It's like, what'd you do? Well, I watched Netflix, or I tried to go for a walk with a scarf around my head, and people were too many people out there, so I had to keep on going down alleys, and so it wasn't that much fun. And what else you do? I didn't talk to anybody or do anything except on the phone, and since none of us did anything, we had nothing to talk about anymore. So it's like, this is like the world's most boring dilemma or crisis ever. Usually, that's you're not going to get a special on PBS sometime about how we all survived it. It was just like how we got not to be too boring. But hopefully it is boring for you because if someone's sick, or you have something, then it's no longer boring and it's all too real. And so let's drink up to everybody's health. And till the next time, we'll have something coming at you again. I had to go out and buy wine. I made a run. You don't like going to the stores anymore because that's where you get sick. But I made a run and we're stocked up, so we'll have some more to go as we go along. And And there you go, everybody. Keep it cheap, and I'll talk to y'all later.